Hi, my name is Homer, author of the Iliad and the Odyssey. Today, I am speaking with one of my more colorful minor characters from the Odyssey, Elpenor.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for getting me out of the underworld for a little while.
So, Elpenor, first off, I've got to ask, what is up with the clothes? This isn't what I was expecting from a character in a Greek epic.
Well, given the way I expired, and how long I've been in the underworld, you can imagine that the old robes are getting a little bit shabby. I've been hanging out with these English dudes from about 1,000 years later, and they loaned me this outfit for the interview. By the way, anyone ever tell you that you're a dead ringer for Albert Einstein?
I'm not familiar with Einstein. Is he another god? If so, thanks for the compliment.
No. He's this Germanic dude that came up with some fancy something about light and energy. A bunch of new guys down in the underworld used it to make a really big fireball. I tell you, we could have used one of those in Troy.
I bet you could have. I'll keep that in mind for my next story. Anyway, for our listeners who may not be familiar with the Odyssey, you are the character that, after having survived all sorts of crazy adventures, dies when you get drunk and fall off a roof.
Hey, you can't blame me for that. You wrote it.
Be that as it may, it did happen.
Imagine being known as a total screw-up for over 3,000 years. I'm the original slacker dude.
So tell me about the night you died. How did it feel?
Honestly, how do you think it felt? You wrote it, so I fell off a roof, after surviving everything else. It felt awful, just absolutely awful.
Exactly, but how did you wind up drunk on the roof of all places?
Well, long story short, the captain was shacking up, and pumping out the kids with Circe, so we had to find some way to kill the time. Getting drunk was just one of those many ways.
Still, how did you end up falling off the roof?
The morning we were supposed to leave, the others were making so much noise that I was startled, and the rest was your own fault. I fell off the ladder, if everyone really needs to know. Pretty embarrassing, if you ask me.
Well, what else was I supposed to do? Kill off Odysseus or some other decent character? You're only known because you got drunk and fell off the roof.
I didn't need the fame, kind sir.
What about the underworld?
My colleagues were in such a hurry to get away from the island that they left me laying dead, and nature just took its course. If getting dragged to Hades is part of nature.
Sounds quite lovely.
There's definitely no shortage of interesting people there, that's for sure.
Anybody you could recommend for a writing partner?
No, not really. Maybe Shakespeare.
If everybody didn't notice you were dead, what did Odysseus think when he found you in the underworld?
He was a bit upset, and probably somewhat embarrassed, that he hadn't noticed I was missing.
Did you make any requests?
Yes, I asked him to return to Circe's palace, and give me a real burial.
Did he follow through?
Yes, it was the least he could do. I mean, after 15 years of traveling, how do you not notice one of your comrades is dead and missing?
Sometimes, people can be idiots.
Yeah, particularly writers.
What was that?
You heard me.
Anyway, you had many close calls, but what would you say was your scariest adventure?
Well, it would probably have to be Circe's island. I mean, she turned us into pigs.
Quite genius, if I may say so myself.
If it wasn't for the captain, we would have all become pork chops, literally. She even had turned people into lions and wolves. What was that place? The Land of Oz. Fortunately for us, she fell for the captain and we were returned to our original selves.
Any other memorable close calls?
The Cyclops scared me to death. Gotta hand it to the captain, sneaking out under the sheep was pretty cool. But what's with all these cannibals? I could understand them eating us when we were pigs, but not when we're perfectly fine human beings.
No accounting for taste.
Can we please change the subject off of my many possible deaths, please?
Well, I'm beginning to run out of ideas.
How about this then? Why don't I ask you a question?
Shoot for the stars, my good lad.
I survived the Trojans, Siccones, a Cyclops and cannibals, even a witch for that matter, but after all that, you kill me off. Why? What even gave you the motivation to write these crazy stories, and why?
Well, every story needs some comic relief, so you were our perfect volunteer. Second, if I didn't write the book, you wouldn't exist in the first place. I wrote it because I was a famous writer and this is just what I thought of. Why don't you stop whining?
You think death is comic relief?
It is when you fall off a roof drunk. Let's get back to the interview, shall we?
Fine, your royal poetness.
What did you think of the stories when Odysseus returned home?
I was glad for him, but a little angry. Why wouldn't the guy just tell us we were all going to die in the first place? What made him so special?
Well, epic poems are stories about heroes, not drunks, and Odysseus was just that kind of hero.
Well, next time you write something, why don't you make me the hero? Elpenor and the underworld, or any other related subjects.
Well, what's the point of writing about you if you're dead?
Well,
maybe for some kids' research paper, but not anything else.
okay. Any press is good press, as long as they remember the name.
Well, we're running out of time, so do you have any other things to say?
I was a warrior, not some stupid drunk. I wish people would remember me that way.
Well, that's everything, folks. Live from New York, it's Saturday night.